Welcome. Today we are diving into a seriously hilarious story about two roommates, Kofi and Tunde. They're on this epic quest to find the perfect third person to share their space, and their interview process, well, let's just say it is anything but ordinary.
Okay, before we get into it, let me ask you something. What is your number one absolute deal breaker for a new roommate? Is it about cleanliness, paying the rent on time, or, not touching your food in the fridge? We all have one. But for our guys, Kofi and Tunde, their list is, well, it's pretty specific.
So, meet Kofi and Tunde. This little note, taped right above their door, is basically their call to the universe. They're looking for someone calm, financially stable, and, this is the big one, culture-aware. But as you're about to see, their definition of that term is where all the fun really begins.
First up, we've got Jessica. She's a quiet, young woman who has absolutely no idea she's about to walk into the ultimate cultural litmus test. And it all kicks off with one simple question about a kitchen staple. And there's Tunde, kicking things off with a question that, for him, is not just about food. Oh no. This is about passion. It's about identity. It's about the great Jollof debate that divides entire nations. The pressure is on. And cue the record scratch. Jessica's answer, which sounds totally normal to most of us, is met with just stunned silence. Plain white rice for stir fry? You can literally feel all the air get sucked out of the room. And there's Kofi with the dramatic final word. See, for them, it's not just a food preference, it's a whole lifestyle. And in their eyes, Jessica's is a tragic one. There's no passion, no soul, and definitely no jollof.
So, the verdict is in, and it was quick. Jessica's love for plain rice is basically a culinary tragedy, and she has failed the culture test. One interview down, and our duo is right back where they started.
All right, next up is Mark. He's a confident, friendly guy, and he seems pretty promising. But what he doesn't know is that he's about to get caught in the crossfire of Kofi and Tunde's completely opposite philosophies on how to live. This slide here really captures the core conflict between our roommates perfectly. On one side, you've got Kofi, who's all about discipline and the sanctity of personal space. And on the other, you've got Tunde, who believes in a boundless, large spirit of hospitality. Mark is about to get tested on both. Kofi goes first, and he asks this very carefully worded question to figure out Mark's stance on guests who overstay their welcome. Mark says a night or two, and Kofi gives a little nod of approval. He's thinking, finally, some discipline. But Tunde is not happy. And there it is. Tunde just explodes. That phrase, what and be this, now, it's Nigerian pidgin for what is this? For Tunde, a house is for family, friends of cousins, literally anybody. The idea of a 2-day limit is a personal insult to his generous spirit. So Mark has passed Kofi's test, only to spectacularly failed Tunde's. Kofi, trying to steer the conversation away from disaster, quickly changes the subject to another classic roommate battlefield, the thermostat. I mean, this is a universal point of tension, right? They need to know where Mark stands. Now, Mark offers what seems like a totally reasonable, financially smart answer. He's just trying to be practical, thinking about the electricity bill. But this sensible response is about to unite our two warring roommates against him. Tunde is horrified. The thought of sweating indoors is just a nightmare. He immediately pictures Mark as this guy who's going to be hunting for phantom power draws, unplugging phone chargers in the middle of the night. And you know what? Even Kofi, Mr. Discipline himself, agrees this is way too much. And just like that, they finally agree on something. Mark's focus on saving money is too much conservation. He fails both the hospitality test and the comfort test. The poor guy, he just couldn't win. Okay. Their last hope is a woman named Mrs. Peterson. She's elderly, she's polite, she's neat. She seems to be the very definition of a calm roommate. On paper, she is absolutely perfect. Kofi asks the big culture question very carefully, and her response is just perfect. It's charming, simple, and completely drama-free. Kofi is beaming. You can tell he thinks he's found the one. But Tunde has one final, very unconventional test up his sleeve. Tunde isn't convinced yet. He needs to check her vibe. So, just like this slide lays out, he grabs the speaker, blasts his Afrobeats playlist, and watches her very closely. And this isn't just about liking the music. For him, it's about feeling the message, the power of the drum.
Mrs. Peterson's reaction is the absolute pinnacle of calm politeness. She doesn't even flinch, she doesn't complain, she just serenely asks if they could turn it down a little so she can hear her kettle. It's probably the most British response imaginable.
And this is where it all just boils over. You can see it right here. For Kofi, her reaction is proof that she is the perfect, respectful roommate. For Tunde, it's the ultimate deal breaker. She has, in his words, no vibe. And the two of them just launch into this furious argument. And here's the punchline. While they're busy fighting over whether she's the best or the worst candidate ever, the subject of their debate, Mrs. Peterson, simply gets up and leaves. They don't even notice she's gone. So the dust settles. The argument is finally over. All the candidates are gone, and Kofi and Tunde are left just staring at the closed door, all alone in the aftermath of their chaos. In the end, yep, it's just them. Tunde sighs, kind of resigned to it all, but Kofi, ever the opportunist, just chuckles and helps himself to the rest of Tunde's food. Some things never change. Their hilarious, conflicting dynamic is the exact reason they can't find a third roommate.
This story is just a brilliant and hilarious look at the impossible task of finding the perfect roommate. But it also makes you wonder, were Kofi and Tunde ever really looking for a third person? Or were they just reaffirming that their own chaotic dynamic is all they really need? To get the full flavor of their hilarious back and forth, you have to read the full story. It's linked in the description below. And this brings us to our final episode on The Roommates Season 1. Who's your favorite guy, Mr. Ghana or Mr. Nigeria? Interested in a free generative AI course sponsored by the University of Colorado? Subscribe to this channel and get the opportunity to join the list of graduates to take this 2025 University Standard course in just 5 days. It's the first of its kind.